Hey, Paul from Arrowhead here. Wanted to take a quick minute and talk to you a little bit about cleaning and storing your quilts from us. It's a question that comes up from time to time. Folks want to know what kind of care and maintenance they need to do with their KQs and their flamethrower quilts that they get from us. So, first off, I wanted to give you a quick size comparison. This is our stuff sack that we use for full-size quilts. That'd be the New Rivers, Potomacs, AHEs. This size stuff sack is what we use for the smaller quilts, the Jarbridge, the Ridge Creek, any one-season quilts would go into this, as well as the flamethrower underquilt, our down quilt. So that gives you kind of a rough idea, size-wise, what they look like, totally uncompressed in the original stuff sack. Now, one thing that a lot of folks want to know is just how small they can compress the quilt, and it'll be okay. So, to give you a reasonable idea, that's roughly the size of a Jarbridge, all stuffed down. The Ridge Creek will actually get slightly smaller than this. One-season quilts will get to about this size if they're full-size quilts, and significantly smaller than this if they're, say, a Jarbridge at one season. And then the New River here that we've got in this stuff sack can stuff down to about 60% of the stuff sack there, and then loft right back up. The reason we do that, the reason we do those oversized stuff sacks, is that when you throw that into your pack, you actually want to be able to have other things squish around it, say your cook kit or whatever other gear you've got in there. You might want to squish it around and kind of have that quilt conform to the shape and size of your pack. So the stuff sacks naturally are a little bit oversized, and that just gives room so that they can squish and other gear can fit around them. So storage is something that really comes up quite often. How's the best way to store your quilt from Arrowhead equipment? Of course, you don't want to leave it stored long-term in the original stuff sack. That's great for packing, it's great for on the trail. It's fine for a couple days at a time, say where you're traveling and need to get to your trailhead where you're going to do your hike from. But you don't want to leave it long-term stored in that sack. Now, whether you use a large mesh laundry bag like this or use a tote, the main thing is you want to make sure that the quilt is totally dry before you put it away after a trip. So what I like to do is let them sit out after a trip, take them out of the stuff sack, lay them out someplace flat, and let them air dry. If everything got soaked, say it was really super humid out, or there was a lot of fog or something of that nature that just left the quilt feeling a little bit damp, you want to make sure you dry it out totally. Now, of course, these totes aren't airtight, but they don't really get good airflow. You're not going to get good air circulation like you would if you were using a mesh laundry sack. So I recommend finding yourself some little desiccant packets. You can get these sort of thing. This is a closet dehumidifier desiccant container. You just open this up and stick this down inside the tote along with the loose packed quilt. That'll help make sure it stays dry and you don't get any sort of buildup from moisture in there. Now, a lot of folks ask, what about cleaning the quilt? Generally speaking, for underquilts and even top quilts, especially if you wear any sort of layers to bed at all, you're not going to need to clean it very often, if at all. The main thing you might need to do is just wipe it down with a damp rag occasionally, and then make sure that, again, you dry it out totally afterwards. The fabrics are really resistant to any sort of buildup of dirt and grime because they are treated with a really high quality DWR treatment. But okay, well, what about when I get back from a trip and something like this has happened? There's just been some dirt and grunge, trail dust, whatever has gotten on my quilt here and made a mess of it. How do I deal with cleaning that? Well, first thing to do is just going to take a spray bottle, wet down all the fabric, just like that, and then just take some plain paper towels, wipe the quilt clean. Now you'll notice there's quite a bit of junk on there, but all came off without any effort at all. So I know some folks are going to say, well, what if I really need to wash the quilt more thoroughly than just wiping it down with the damp rag's going to do? Well, what I would suggest, get yourself a bottle of Nick Wax Tech Wash. This is a great quality product. Okay, so let's talk real quick about packing your quilt into the stuff sack. If you pack it the right way, you're going to be able to maximize the compression you can put on the quilt, and also just that's going to help minimize the amount of space in your pack it's going to take up. So what I do, first off, I'm going to put the quilt stuff sack halfway into my pocket so that I can get to the mouth of it when I'm ready to. I'll grab the quilt here, and what I like to do personally is I'm going to fold it roughly into thirds. Just kind of get that tucked over, and then I'm going to start rolling the end of the quilt up. I want to take and make about a third of the quilt into this nice compact ball here. I'm going to grab my stuff sack, and I'm going to work that ball into the stuff sack and push it down to the very end there. I want to make sure that's all the way down here at the end. So then I'm going to take the rest of the quilt and kind of tuck it up under my elbow here to hold it up. I'm going to put the stuff sack on my feet so that it doesn't get snagged on any branches on the ground or anything and torn. And I'm going to simply take and turning the stuff sack in quarter turns, work the quilt down in. And what that'll allow me to do is get the maximum amount of compression, get it packed in there as small as possible. As you can see there's a lot of extra stuff sack left over. Again, that's just so that you can allow it to squish and fit the shape of your pack. So there you have it, all packed up, ready to go in your pack. Well, there you have it. That's my recommendations for care, cleaning, and storage of your quilts from Arrowhead Equipment. This has been Paul. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.